This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, Bappy, I think you moved off the list there, or because you've got a lot more people to add to the list.
I'll add it in when DJ is doing his thing. Right. Okay. So today we have a light agenda. Then DJ has thankfully rescued us with a good topic. I was hoping to get something done by today, just flat ran out of bandwidth. But let me start with our usual rolling agenda. We've got a open mic for chiplet business models coming up. DJ, anything you want to say about that before we get to your other topic?
So I have received few feedback from people, some of them listed here, not all of them. I'm creating a Google Slides, which I'm sharing with all the folks who have shared the feedback so that they can go edit the deck. So anybody who has not yet had chance to share your thought, feel free to send it via email or otherwise. And the goal is for next week for all of us to take maybe few minutes to go through what we have put in our slides, just to provoke everyone to start thinking of how we should run the business model work stream within ODSA, and what's the best way to proceed forward. So that's where we will start our discussion next week.
Yeah, and DJ, you're still open to more people joining, right? I mean, literally is an open mic. If you've got any thoughts, please feel free to step up and
totally. Yeah, please feel free to share, or you can even say on 28th of August, hey, I have few thoughts based on what I heard. Can I speak? And that's fine as well. So we can do both ad hoc as well as little bit of a planning. If we do little bit of a planning, it makes for a much more efficient call, but that does not mean we should not allow for ad hoc discussion as well, because at the end of the day, it will become an ad hoc discussion. So yes, it's open mic.
Perfect. So September 4th is the Labor Day weekend, so we're not going to do a meeting. And then I've got Ali and Dee who introduced me to Professor Flynn, so we're going to be academia rich. We're going to have a couple of these. Ali will check, so this is done. September 25th is link. Rita, we're still on track for the 18th right now?
Yes, we are still there. Yes.
Okay. Rita and I discussed another topic, but I'll save that for the opens. Is there any other topic we should be looking at? Anybody have any thoughts on speakers, etc.? I guess we're still on the HBM track and memory, and we're going to go find people for memory. Okay. Let's see. Anybody new or been here a while who wants to introduce themselves? I don't see any names. Okay, DJ, it's all yours. I'm going to stop sharing. It's all you.
Hello, can everyone see the slide?
Yep.
Okay, so quick background. Last year, OCP Incubation Committee started an effort to look at industry problem sets with lens of mobilizing OCP community to help solve some of them. And this process will continue. We are developing this process even more year 2021 as more people get involved. And the goal essentially is to develop some kind of a soft technology roadmap for OCP, which has not existed until now. And the time is right. So in this call, there are two things we are going to accomplish. Give you a quick readout of what we have done as a community in last 1 year, where the effort is. And then more importantly, we will also have an ask for all of you and your friends and colleagues from your companies to bring it to BAPI or myself. So last year we went through identification of some key areas, and 16 areas were identified. People voted on them, mostly folks who were part of the OCP IC and project leads. Based on the voting, the top 4 areas were generated: common platforms, modularization, platform security, and common profile. These were, the focus areas which we spent some time last year to even go through addressing them. You can see there are other areas here which can also be considered for the next refresh, something like transition to 400 gig optics, or things like, consumption of hyperscale hardware. Somebody might say we want to bring it to telco. And again, we will go through the voting process, and this time it will be even more comprehensive. We have actually cast a wider net by including everybody in the community to bring ideas forward. So where are we in terms of the 4 initiatives? The goal of common platform was to create an opportunity to leverage work across the entire OCP work streams, and more importantly, create a framework where we don't accelerate SKU creation within OCP. Rather, we minimize SKU creation within OCP, or create distinct type of platforms within OCP, so that we can achieve other goals like promotion of OCP hardware across more players. You can only imagine that if we have many different types of platforms, then this can confuse an end user who might want to deploy OCP. So that was the main scope or the aspiration for this common platform. The work which has been done so far has resulted in a generation of a matrix of parameters, where we are looking at each item in terms of whether we require these specifications, are they highly desired, or is it something which can be reasonably desired. And this becomes part of the acceptance process for OCP spec. We plan to have a slow rollout of this matrix to the community, so that community has enough time to adjust to all of these requirements. The next initiative was modularization. And this is a problem which even we within ODSA kind of experienced, when we started looking at the first POC, which is the Mara baseboard, which the community is driving. And halfway through the POC, we kind of recognized that OCP NIC 3.0 can be used. So we started thinking of creating an interposer board for the POC, because that was not how we started out in the beginning. So the opportunity here is to create, information base across all of the OCP projects for modules which are existing within industry, and ones which are even being created within OCP, things like OCP NIC 3.0, OAM module, etc., so that we try to promote reuse as much as we can in every possible way. Tomorrow, if ODSA is building a module, let's say using a chiplet to create a test fixture, perhaps we can leverage some of these existing modules rather than creating our own form factor. So that would be the motivation for something like a modularization work stream, where we can go and find out what has been done in terms of not only physical form factor, power envelope, thermal design, but even going beyond and looking at some amount of protocol planning, which is it a way for us to leverage maybe general management of the module. We can leverage protocols which have been used in other modules. So that's the goal of this particular work stream. John Leong from Intel is leading the common profiles work stream, and this is mainly management profiles. This particular document is not yet fully approved by OCP IC committee, but management profiles is being led by the hardware management group. And again, the goal is to make this general knowledge available for everyone, so that we can start following some of these things as a common set of principles. And then last but not least is the security piece. There are 4 documents which are supposedly going to be released. Attestation document has already been proposed to the OCP IC for a broader release. And this becomes again a very relevant information which somebody like ODSA community needs to, in some sense, follow, because we are not going to reinvent security protocols or security mechanisms. There are experts who are doing that. So this is another area which we are making progress on. Having said that, on August 6th, a very wide group of people got together to kind of become aware of all of this. BAPI was involved in it, as well as 40 other project leads from other groups, as well as the entire OCP IC committee. The goal was to kind of talk about where the industry is going, where the challenges are, and then eventually bring these ideas back into OCP IC. The way we plan to do that is we funnel the most pressing problems which we feel we have. You could bring your problems, your industry challenges, your technology challenges, which your company wants to solve, and maybe OCP is the right forum. Bring all of those ideas through BAPI so that BAPI has opportunity to present it into OCP IC, or you can share it with me, or whatever mechanism works for you. But the goal is we want to hear your voice. We want to bring from grassroots problem sets. Not all of them will get addressed, obviously, because we could have many, many problems and much smaller resources to work on. So the next step would be we'll go through the prioritization. But speaking up is the first step for making some change. And this is where, I wanted to share all of this work. Please contact BAPI or myself if you have any further questions. We are both happy to, address any questions you might have right now as well. BAPI, do you want to add anything? Please feel free to add.
Yeah, I think in terms of reuse, for us, reusing the management effort, management, security, and ideally you could, if you could even manage to reuse the form factor, would have been in great shape. But management and security is a great starting point in my mind. If the specs are designed so they can be extended to our use case, what we're trying to do. Makes a lot of sense. And I like the idea of a structured way in which people can bring any new ideas they have. Just sort of says, okay, we'll help you build it up and present it, and maybe it becomes a new OCP activity or joins an existing OCP activity.
Exactly.
This slide in particular is very nice. Any questions for DJ? Okay. In that case, thank you. As DJ says, if you have any thoughts, anything else you'd like to add, DJ is famously unapproachable, so come through me. I'm kidding. But please, any ideas, please feel free to take them to DJ, and he will shepherd them through the incubation committee or the right place in the OCP. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. Okay, so my favorite weekly topic until I'm still not sure whether we're on 2 afternoons or on 1 day, but this stays roughly the schedule for the OCP fall workshop. We're not doing an open call for papers. We're just doing friends and family again. Anybody see any merit in doing an open call for papers? I'm asking, not recommending or pushing back. So right now, this as things stand, it's basically a bunch of people we know, and we're structuring the day as an update and then invited panels, and also these lightning talks, which are surprisingly well received. I'm still kind of surprised by the value they have. So anybody have any thoughts, questions, ideas around this? Okay. Well, if you do have any, I think we're gonna start. So the plan with the panels last time, what we did was, so the way this workshop is going to work is, Mark Kemerly is not online, right? So what happens is these panels are recorded panels. So what we're going to do is use what we're going to do, excuse me, what we're going to do is use the weekly Friday sessions as a to record one of each of our panels, and so that we can ask questions and make it more interactive. Okay, if there are no questions here, then let's go for opens. I'll just do my Ali. So otherwise we end quick today. Ali, Alan.
Boppy, it's Sam.
Yes.
So you're gonna use the Fridays to record the panels, the lightning talks. Is that something that we record separately and then send to you, or how do we handle those?
Yeah, so I think the lightning talk, we'll handle it roughly. Good, thank you. We will handle lightning talks the way we did in the global summit. So the panels recorded live, lightning talks recorded offline.
Okay. So we'll just record a 10-minute, send that to you, and they'll get kind of teed up or queued up for presentation.
Yes. We just went through a hot interconnect, and I think one of the things we could try. So they sort of sparked an idea in me. I think it's where you have recorded talks, but the presenter is still offline, or online, and on camera for the duration of the talk. And I think the one takeaway I have is I think moderators can make a huge difference. So maybe for each session, have a moderator who keeps an online discussion going.
So there's text-based back and forth questions and answers, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the hot interconnect guys had a good idea of having moderators, but in my mind the moderators were on for way longer, so it you kind of, your energy level wears off. So we have a different session moderator every 60 or 90 minutes. I think a moderator will make a huge difference. DJ and Kevin were on. I think Shahab was on. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that something worth doing for our workshop?
Yeah, I think having a moderator is a great idea. I agree.
So yeah, so speakers online for the recorded session.
So Bapi, this is Peter.
Yes, sir.
For the hot chips, they actually had the stack online discussion happening while the presentation happens as well. So if you can set that up, probably that will enable a lot of discussion happens on tech side.
Yep, that's exactly right. And we replicated that on the hot interconnect side. Exactly, to drive and guide.
Also, Bapi, I find out the Slack method was much better than Zoom question and answer, I think.
Yes.
If we can get the Slack and disable Zoom, maybe it's better.
Yes, Zoom Q&A is a pain in the neck. I'm with you. Slack, or if Tawfiq on, let's call it Teams. Okay, so we're going to probably turn to people, a moderator different from the speaker. Having both online. but both of these made a difference. In my mind, this is a good hot chip. I'm guessing it happened at Hot Chips too. But both of these are good innovations. A speaker being online for the recorded session, visible on camera, and a moderator for each session to drive and guide an online discussion. I'd say a moderator can no more than 60 minutes. But the other thing, I thought that having too many channels actually worked against the thing, that we're better off with one channel rather than one channel for each talk. I thought having like 20 channels really fragmented the discussion.
But it was very well organized that way. I think if you're looking for a question or something, you could easily go to that channel. I think one channel per paper or presentation is good.
Really? Can
That
somebody
was my
disagree
feedback.
with Shahab?
Yeah.
What do you mean by channel? Do you mean the Slack channel, or
Yes.
do you mean...
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. So the way.
definitely one of the things. So I attended Hot Chips was Slack only,
Right.
and it worked really well. And I found that Hot Interconnect, I was confused as to whether to use Zoom or Slack. So I'd say make sure you only do one and turn the other one off if you can. I think Hot Chips didn't use Zoom. I think Hot Chips maybe used something else, so you didn't get the chat channel option in the Hot Chips one.
Hot Chips use the online video stream platform, so they can just log in as with password.
Oh, that's correct. And then they use Slack, and therefore there was no confusion as to where to put your Q&A.
Right, exactly. Yes.
There was a ton of confusion on several of the talks I went to.
Well, so okay, so my takeaway was that it's better to have. I kind of liked one channel where all the conversations going on like in a crowded room instead of separate channels.
Exactly. Just one. And the Slack seemed to work pretty well, but I guess it doesn't really matter which one as long as there's one.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think Boppy by one channel right now, he means one channel on Slack. Am I right?
Yeah, I didn't like the one separate sub-channel per paper. I thought it fragmented the discussion and didn't allow any.
But it's going to be hard to manage it.
Oh, no, yeah. You need a Slack channel per presentation because
both of you are wrong.
You know the conversation. If you want to look at the Q&A for that particular presentation, it's a lot easier. Yeah, definitely per presentation or paper. Yeah.
Because I noticed there was ongoing discussion, even the presentation over. After that, I think still people chatting on that specific paper channels.
Yes. Yeah, and well, so prepare to be pinged. If you're on this call, there's a high likelihood that I'm going to ping you to be a moderator. So watch out. Okay.
Does it come with training?
Yeah, everybody's coming. So this is all good. Let me see. Okay, Ali, Alan, any opens?
I'm good. Just FYI, I did not discuss any specific dates with Subramanian for that UCLA talk. So I told him that you guys would work out the details. So just
got it. Okay.
Nothing from me, Bappy.
Perfect. No, I don't mean it's good that you haven't opened that. I just never mind. You know what I meant. Anu, and whoever caller 03 is. Any opens? Dan, David.
Yeah, nothing here.
Actually, David, I've got one for you. We're hunting for speakers in memory, especially the memory serialization protocols and things like that, to come in and give a talk on their impact for chiplets. Do you have any thoughts?
Now, you talking about like the CXL or that level?
Either CXL here, like either Gen Z, OMI, or now I guess CXL. Just the general impact of memory and chiplets.
Yeah, let me think about something there. When would the presentation be?
One of the Fridays.
OCP.
I mean, so I think we were going. So if you look at it, I think we'll lose a couple of weekends and Fridays in October. So
Okay.
we've got, you can see the dates here, right?
Yeah.
So there's a couple of dates, and we can move to September. There's a couple of options for us.
Sure. I've been tracking. I can talk about some of the possible impacts, primarily, bandwidth and feeds that would be coming into the devices that need to be addressed. So,
Yeah, latency and what kind of a
in
chiplet to build,
latency.
etc.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Oh,
Yeah, I'll take
all
that.
right. So
David Allen. Thanks.
yeah. Okay. Perfect. Let me just do. And Alan's ready to do something there as well. So I think we need a few thoughts there. That's
Yeah,
a
do you
good
want
thing.
me to, Bappy, would you like me to get, I can certainly get somebody from the OMI side, and the Gen Z. I
Sure.
can, if there's nobody already representing Gen Z here, I can probably get somebody from there as well.
Yeah. I think we really have to look at. I mean, there's persistent memory. There's also some memory in my mind, and we really haven't had any discussion about it.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll take the action to get somebody from OMI and Gen Z, if unless there's somebody already on the call that can represent that.
No, that's fine. I've got stuff on CXL and Gen Z that we've been looking at and tracking.
Okay. Sorry, David. I didn't know who are you with, David?
I'm with Seagate.
Oh, right. Okay. Great. Well, if you're already good on the Gen Z, and I was just thinking of going to Curtis. The
No, it'd be good. I mean, we can bring Curtis in for a good overview. He's a very good speaker and knows it very well. So.
Right. Okay. Well, do you want to contact him?
So,
Or I can contact him one way or the other.
Either way, go ahead and take it, and then if not, I can. If you struggle with him, we'll double down on him. How's that?
just so we're in sync, it'll be nice to have the sort of talk be. I mean, beggars can't be choosers and all that, but
yeah,
it'll be nice to have the talk be sort of at least the sort of alignment with chiplets in some sense, not just the protocol itself.
right. And he can also maybe speak to the alignment between CXL and Gen Z on the working group, the technical working group and marketing group now. So.
Yeah, actually, Bappy, you do make a good point. Do you want to start with what do we want on the memory side from a chiplets perspective, sort of without polluting what everybody's got? What would be ideal, and then bring in the. I mean, we could structure the meeting such that maybe the first 15 minutes it's or unless you wanted a whole meeting to say what do we want from the memory side, and then look at the options then.
We're sort of done reasonably well with free form. As long as you have some passing thoughts on I think the big thing is to sort of not just be protocol focused. That's about it. Usually something good comes out of a free form conversation. We had a bunch of ideas started in this group, so I think we're okay as long as there's some sort of front end thought into the protocol and chiplets or memory serialization and chiplets. Does that make sense? Does anybody else online, say named Kevin Drucker, or anybody else, or have any thoughts on what we'd like to see with memory and chiplets if we have a conversation?
Should we bring some other people from Samsung or Hynix?
Sure. We can ask Anand at Samsung.
Along the same way, SRAM, I don't know. I mean, we're talking about Samsung would be more focused more behind Hynix or HBM, right? We're seeing a lot of SRAM integration also as cache.
Right. But what about Alan's question of what it is that we want from a speaker? Do we want a protocol overview? Do we want like a protocol and chiplets?
Interfaces. I mean, a lot of these are getting stacked, right? What type of interfaces they have and what sizes they come.
And Bobby, are you thinking the external interfaces that they are looking at, like some of the new storage class memory pieces, or just specific to DRAM, and then what's required internally?
I was really thinking that at some point, the external memory interface, much like a PCI interface, will be a chiplet. So there'll be like a DITRA interface on one side and an external memory interface on the other.
Yep.
What's the performance you expect? What's the throughput, channel count?
Yeah,
or
sorry.
if it's an on package SRAM, persistent memory chiplet. What do these things look like?
Yeah, sorry, Bappy, I just got called away there. I had a rat man in. Yeah, so just on that, everything that Bappy said, I guess we've got the HBM interface, obviously, which is this big wide parallel interface on the chiplet itself. But yeah, how does that break into ever more distant memory channels? When should we have a chiplet to bridge the different ones? Either you have on-package memory of different flavors, or you break into off-package. Should we be keeping protocols similar, or making it life easy? The silicon just sees the same thing no matter what, sort of thing. And so those sorts of discussions, and how does that map to what's coming down the pipe from the various standards bodies?
Right. Something, and just sort of hear some thoughts from anybody who's been thinking about this.
Bapi, one question on this memory is the intent. It's possible that from a system architecture, it hangs off of a host or a I/O controller. Is that the kind of thing that this is addressing, or just survey of different memory technologies?
I see it more from the controller side of how to make it easy for. If we're thinking of this from a memory-centric perspective, we still think our industry still struggles. We always start with the processor in the middle, and I think we should start to think about it with the memory in the middle, and then the chiplets that you're adding to the memory is the processors. But we still don't think like that. We can't get our heads around that, and I think that's the sort of thing that I would like to drive, is say, look, we're data-centric. So if we stick that in the center of our chiplet or the center of our universe, how do we then connect the processing infrastructure around that memory? And from a distant memory over cables. To be honest, my view is a complete system level view, but it absolutely comes down to the chiplet perspective of is there a chiplet bridge that allows you to connect the different types of memories with better or worse latency, with better or worse bandwidth, and something that's more graceful going from one extreme to the other. And maybe there's a chiplet that there's a protocol that you can build this infrastructure. So you drop an HBM in with the chiplet at the bottom of the stack, and it talks HBM, all the benefits of HBM. But then you get rid of the stack and you have a chiplet that has driver transceivers. It can drive a local DIMM type memory channel. And then maybe the DIMM type memory channel, because it's transceiver attached, that can then talk to all sorts of memory, being persistent, DRAM, SRAM, GDDR, video RAM, all the different flavors of RAM that for different systems with their own idiosyncrasies. So that's, I'd like us to take a holistic perspective personally, and then say, how can the chiplet infrastructure work with that when you understand that system need, then it should become clearer how the chiplets could fit in to suit that need.
I agree, and at the same time, I think in current drives for like a CIM or the computing memory or PIM, the processing memory, also makes the story more interesting, because now interface to memory is not just simply interface to memory as a client server model, but it's more driving by the memory itself too, right? In a way.
Exactly, and well, yeah, when I see all storage as memory now. Anyway, so exactly.
So I think that this to me is the really we don't want to sort of narrow down the speakers and push them into one direction, but fundamentally I think as a group we're trying to answer this question: what do memory chiplets of different types look like? So any talk which sort of hits that even tangentially would be good.
Yeah, I think your point earlier, Bappy, is me personally, I don't want the tail wagging the dog. So whilst we've got these standards out there, I don't really want to pollute the conversation by these are the standards and this is a dominant one, therefore this is the answer. I'd like us to come out. This is the problem space. If we look at our future systems, this would be the ideal answer. What maps onto it from what's out there, and what needs to change in what's out there to suit our needs.
Yeah.
That's the way I'd like to tackle it.
Okay, perfect. Where was I? Oh, I was David and the okay. D and DJ. Any thoughts? Opens. Jawad, Kevin.
Nothing here.
Nothing here. Thanks.
Okay. So David, you'll get back to me on whenever you think you can get going, right? David and Alan.
Yeah, that's fine. Then we'll pull Curtis in as well.
Okay.
And I'll pull somebody in from Alamo.
Lay, Myron. Any opens?
Looks very nice. Thank you, Vapi. I think I also want to see some of the ways of implementation, right? So we're talking a lot about the protocols, electrical links, and so how we implement. Basically, if you look at the HBM as example, people go to very small pitch, and now they're trying to relax the pitch up to even 100 micron. Those kind of things, I think eventually would determine how people implement the system. So I like to hear from different company, what they're looking for in terms of hardware and integration.
Oh my God, Rita. Okay. This is the exact discussion Rita and I had like a day ago. Unbelievable. All right, Lay. They were definitely on the right track.
Excellent. Yeah. Agreed as well. Yeah. Perfect.
You don't mean Lay, you don't mean just for memory, right? You mean in general, or you mean specifically?
In general, it doesn't have to be memory. It could be GPU, CPU, in general, like.
Yeah. This is word for word. This is the discussion Rita and I.
Yeah, the workflow effectively. I mean, you're talking about pieces of it, but how do you pull everything together, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
The pre-RTL paper and pencil or whiteboard trade-off discussion.
PowerPoint, spreadsheets, meeting notes, right?
What real engineers do, PowerPoint.
I think Bill Chen might be able to help to pull in some of the information from the HIR part, but we can also definitely call for presentation from the leading companies in terms of performance system.
Actually, Bobby, the presentation that I was planning to make on the ADA, it wasn't just focused on the tool stuff, but also address the challenges people are trying to address from the concept phase all the way to getting actually a die-to-die or a design in a package. So that goes along what has been discussed here.
Okay. Yeah, so if this business open mic goes well, one of the things we were thinking of was that really talking about updating the ODSA white paper and how you do a whiteboard or PowerPoint pre-RTL or pre-design this trade-off architectural analysis for a chiplet-based design. Does anybody else think that's interesting? I guess or is it just Lay, Rita, and me? Anybody else see that as a problem? That when you're beginning a design, when you're beginning a design, you need to make all these choices on packaging technology, die-to-die interconnect, decomposition.
What type of interface to use?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
because you're talking about.
I would really like that. I think that's a great topic. Thank you.
Okay, so that might end up being a second open mic if DJ Ace is the first open mic.
I think this open mic is really a good idea in terms of bringing out bringing out the issues that may be hidden, but also bringing out opportunities that we want to see.
Thanks, Bill. I'm glad you like it.
Oh, I like it a lot.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thanks. Perfect. So we'll noodle some more on this. Rita and Anu, if you guys want to by any chance take the lead on this, that would be really nice. But I don't know how loaded you are. I won't put you on the spot here. But or Lay, Rita, and Anu, between the three, if you guys like it and wouldn't mind organizing it the way DJ is sort of driving this, that would be great. Please think
Sure,
about it. Get back to me offline.
we can work together. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
we'll talk offline.
Sure.
Thank you.
So when is this gonna be? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out the schedule.
Well, it will be when you will be ready, I think. Right? Really, it's not.
Okay.
It's going to be either the last week of September or it depends on how we get organized more than anything else.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, just putting a few more words there. It's just it seems as though we could potentially along the line, Bobby. We were talking about having a workflow or some kind of flow that somebody who's thinking about integrating a lot of stuff, it's what are the different thought process or challenges or the choices they have to make. And for every step, what are the options? And why would you go to this branch versus the other branch or the other branch in terms of interface selection or technology selections and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, all the work streams sort of go into the weeds. I think we need like a top level guide. I believe will be well received. Myron, Paul, any opens?
Nothing here.
Okay. Peter? Peter and Rita? Well, Rita's just so. Anything else?
No, I'm
All right. No more. Thanks.
Sam Scott?
Oh, opens for me, Bobby.
Yeah, we've discussed all of my opens. So.
Okay. Shahab Suresh?
Nothing, thank you, Bobby.
I'm good, but I would like to participate in item 4 at some point.
Well, I think, yeah, Rita and Anu and Lay are your people. Tawfiq? Bill?
I'm fine, thank you.
No open, thanks.
Okay. All right. So in terms of work stream updates, Jawad, is there anything you'd like to share about CDX?
Nice. There is not much for this week. We can probably give an update next week.
Okay. The Bow and link layer groups that we presented at Hot Interconnect, reasonable interaction with the audience on the Slack channels. We had about Shab and so we had about 250 people online, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It was a reasonable attendance. So went well. I think there's a lot of interest in the Bow spec. So hopefully, as a group, we're going to be able to get something tangible out. If you think you can be a reviewer for the Bow spec, we'd love to give you a virtual hug. Please sign up. We could definitely use some reviewers. made really good progress on the Crossfire spreadsheet. I was hoping to present it today, but I just ran out of bandwidth. Then any other group, the link layer group is in good shape. We've created a requirement sheet, and hopefully we'll have something to share. September 25th, we'll have something to share. Okay, that's basically it. Any other opens? If not, enjoy the rest of enjoy the weekend and the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye
Bobby.
bye.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks, Bobby. Bye.
Thanks all.